step across this line. I never dare you, motherfucker. Cross this one.
Electric sparking wires exposed. Scrota cuts deep where the truth erodes. Rebel in the trenches, voice explodes. This the HLS, the code overloads.
Hell yeah, man. Speaking of AI, bro, like, Electrik sent me the stuff that you sent me your socials and stuff like that. So, hey, man, this is what we got coming on. And I like at least doing a little bit of research before our guests come on, man. And I saw something on your pages that just hit me in the gut. That picture of you as a kid.
Yeah.
Hugging you as an adult.
Oh, man, I
hey,
know,
man,
bro.
That one almost sent me, bro. That one almost sent me.
Man, I can't, I could never express enough, how my inner child, I went to prison at a really early age, bro. And so I was forced out of my childhood. I couldn't be a kid anymore. And so that gap has always been there. Not necessarily trauma. I guess you could call it trauma, but that needed to be addressed. And I didn't learn that until later on in life.
Yeah, man. That's powerful, man. Like they say, a picture says 1,000 words, man. That one was. And I got a soft spot for kids and stuff like that, man. Yeah. That's get them tears to go back inside.
I'm glad it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. You grew up here in Houston?
Yep. This is my hometown.
What part?
North Side. Do you know where Cypress Station is? Yeah.
I went to school on the north side.
Yeah, I actually had to live on Beach Nut for 2 years when I was a kid. In Pradera Apartments behind that old mall right there off 59.
Oh, yeah. That Westwood Mall.
Yep. I actually got my PS2 at that Sears when they still had the Sears open back then.
Sears, yeah.
Many months
that
ago.
Whole area is not the same anymore, man. It's not the same anymore at all. It wasn't never great to begin with, but
it's definitely gone.
Yeah,
further down south.
It's gone, man. The area I used to live in, we used to have this library called the Red Library because it was just red, and everybody knew the Red Library. It was called Morris Frank or Frank Morris, but it was a red ass library. That library is demolished. It's it was crazy. There's a community and there's no public library in the community, or in the community next to it, or in the community next to it. It's crazy, man.
Yep. A-Leaf, but I will say this, A-Leaf has an amazing community center. They have their library, but not only do they have their library, they have this library called Tech Links. And Tech Links provides free 3D printing, a beat studio, a podcast studio, big printers. Yeah, all this stuff for free. Absolute free. All you got to do is, of course, have a library card, and you sign up for the time slot that you want, and nobody uses it.
That's so common.
Typical. Yeah, I was going to say, very typical.
So
yeah,
common.
It's very typical. And so one thing in my job, I'd like to get into some of my mentees, because it's a very common thing. They want to be artists, musicians, rappers. Mm-hmm. And so I try to expose them to things outside of their immediate neighborhoods and to really get them to dream. I care about that the most, because from where I come from, there's no hope.
Yeah.
There's no hope outside of being a dope boy or working at Church's Chicken. Yeah. So which one are you going to choose? The one where it gets the slab with the swangers on it, making big money, or are you going to go work for minimum wage at McDonald's? So one or the other.
Slanging anyway.
Yeah. And that's status to a lot of young people. It was even to me. Just trying to show them that you don't have to do that or live that lifestyle to have nice things.
Yeah.
There's other ways.
But why do you think things don't get used in the community as much? Because I did a lot of outreach and stuff when I was in California for 20 years. And one of the things I like doing a lot was just going to community centers out of San Bernardino, which is a real rough neighborhood as well too. And they had all kinds of facilities and stuff for the kids
that nobody uses.
Just wasn't used. So I took people
I'll tell you what.
And they oh, this is great. And then as soon as he left, they just never used it again.
I'll tell you why. There's a couple reasons, but some of the most predominant. is something that we as humans really struggle with. And it's learning how to say, I don't know, and can you help me?
Yeah.
Those two things really make up a lot. And secondly, change is never easy. And doing something new and different to a lot of people, even if it's like only a block down the street, it's new, it's different, it's out of their norm. And they prefer to live in the same way that they have been living, unfortunately. But yeah, and I would say the third one is actual awareness. But once you provide the resource to them and show them that it's there, it's up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I encountered, like, was at this community center called Delman Heights. They had a media room where they had TV, they had arcade games, they had recording stuff. It wasn't really for podcasting. This is a long time ago before podcasting even existed.
Yeah.
But they had stuff like audio recording and stuff like that. And a lot of the kids they'd be amazed by the room and the bean bags and all that other stuff, but they wouldn't use it. It was almost like they were afraid. And I've been there myself before. The place is too nice for me to actually use.
Yeah, the change.
Like, I don't want to mess anything up, or I don't want to be accused of breaking something. So it was just like there was this invisible force feel like, I'm good. Like, that's not for me kind of thing, even though it's literally for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have encountered that, but I can't say that. Like, I go to out of school time in Fifth Ward at Finnegan Park. So they have a community center called the Yet Center. And it was sponsored by Commissioner Rodney Ellis. He created this space for kids and for families that don't have the capacity to pay for like childcare. And it's completely free, believe it or not. And they can have a max capacity of 200 kids, but only like 60 kids are enrolled there. And they have a teen room, and they've got plenty of stuff for kids, but they definitely utilize the teen room. I'm in there every week and definitely utilize it, but I enjoy seeing that space for a kid to be a kid.
Yeah.
I think that it's a common theme inside of our neighborhoods. It's like there's not a space for a kid to be a kid or feel comfortable to be a kid.
People don't think they have the actual like time or capacity to do that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. If a child, and I'll say this, I was a prime example as a kid. If a child is worried about survival, there's never space to think about dreaming or growing or goals or going to school. If their mind is constantly in survival mode and they're in a state of crisis, it's very hard to get a kid to learn. So when those unicorns do pop up, like they shine bright. But the objective is to try to get every kid out of some type of crisis where they can be in a position to learn and to grow and to just be kids.
So what do you think is like one of I'm sure you got a lot of tools, but what do you think is a useful tool to like at least temporarily drop that veil? 'Cause I'm sure that once they see it, seeing it is one thing. Seeing it repeatedly it's gonna take something that requires like more than one exposure.
Absolutely.
How do you at least just for that first instance get them to drop their guard a little bit, be more receptive to that kind of stuff? Because some people are just like, no, this is not for me. No, absolutely not.
They won't. And the name of my program is called Credible Messengers because it comes from mentors that have lived experience and that can relate and talk the same language as these young people in these communities. And so the number one thing that you can do to break down that barrier and to build a relationship with any kid is to tend to their immediate needs. If you tend to their immediate needs, they don't give a fuck about what you can do or what until they know that you actually give a fuck about them and that you care and that you're willing and that you genuinely want to help them without anything else. Because a lot of kids I shut the shit down quick. Like when other organizations, they come around and they want to show like they're doing something. Like for these kids that I mentor and that I serve, they have hidden agendas. Like it's like almost like extortion to me. It's like, hey, I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna hand out a few things to these kids to boost my publicity or my votes, whatever it is. And I don't like that shit. So I shut that shit down. Like anything that'll, like, you're not gonna turn a profit or make something off of the kids that I work with.
Who actually really need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so these people in these neighborhoods, this is another reason why they do not utilize this stuff, because they feel like it's a front. And I don't blame them, because I was like, that's why you can't even get a kid to sign a sign-in sheet. You know why? Because he was taught. No, I'm telling you, it's because they were taught to not give out their name. Like, don't give out your name. You know, don't do this, don't do that. And if you get to that point, you feel good.
Yo, Mike, you want to know what's funny that you say that?
What's up, bro?
So,
What's up, bro?
at the Tesla event, I heard them making the announcements to sign the waivers, the liability waivers. And I was like, I'm not putting my name on that shit.
No, that is so ingrained. I'm not. Wait, why you need my name? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why you need my name? Now I'm here.
Yeah.
You know.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So,
it's a systemic issue.
Yeah.
for everyone that's listening right now, we got the show started without announcing our guest for the day. I would like to introduce Michael Galloway, also known as XCon Fitness on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, Mike, do you want to give like a 60-second introduction of who you are and what you're doing?
Absolutely. What's up, everybody? My name is Michael Galloway. I'm from the north side of Houston, Texas. I'm 35 years young with a wonderful wife, 6 beautiful children who I love with all my heart. And I am definitely a follower of Christ and somebody that believes in every youth and person following their dreams. That's the best way I can put my life in a nutshell.
Right. And we were talking about like the programs you do. You want to talk a little bit about the programs that you're a part of and what you're out here in Houston?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I work for a nonprofit organization called Collective Action for Youth. And what we focus on primarily is community organizing and partnering up with youth and young adults to advocate for what matters most to them. And we have 3 primary focus areas that we organize around, which is youth homelessness, juvenile justice, and education. Those are 3 of the big focus areas that we have. And inside of our organization, we have a program called the Credible Messenger Program, which is a transformative at-youth mentoring program for the city of Houston, primarily in the north side of Houston, which is District B, under Tarsha Jackson. And what we try to do is we focus on shutting down the school pipeline to prison, because it's a real thing. And we want to empower the youth within our underserved communities to be able to follow their dreams, to be able to think outside of their immediate neighborhoods. So I manage that program. I helped create the structure of the actual program and the flow of everything. And on top of that, I have my own business that I started when I was in prison, which is called XCon's Fitness. And I had a dream to be a personal trainer when I was locked up. I did almost a decade my last time down. And I noticed that I just had a gravitational pull to everybody. Everybody wanted to work out with me and train with me. And I even trained guards. I would give guards diet plans and work out with them. And so it was a no-brainer when I got out of prison to get my certification, go to college for it, and focus on building people to be the best version of themselves. And of course, on top of that, I love to rollerblade.
Hell yeah. So you said you went to college for physical training?
Yeah, exercise science, kinesiology.
Oh, that's what's
Absolutely.
up.
What's up, man?
What kind of degree? Was it an associate's, a bachelor's?
So I am 3 classes away from getting my bachelor's, and I did it. So when I started my college journey, the goal was not to have a degree. The goal was to get my certified strength conditioning specialist certification. However, a prerequisite to have this is you have to have a bachelor's degree in either exercise science kinesiology, or anything in between, just to take the test. And so that, like, getting a degree was a means to an end.
Yeah.
But I knew that when I went to prison, for one thing, when I went to prison, my vocabulary was very limited. Like, every other word out of my mouth was the F word. And I utilized those as filler words because I talked uneducated, and I didn't know how to express myself, like, with the proper words. So I started studying a dictionary while I was in the county jail and trying to utilize words and sentences. And then when I got down to prison, I made it a priority to get my GED because I dropped out of high school. And from there, I said, yeah, I want to be a personal trainer, and this is what I want. So let's go to college. And I got my associate's degree while I was in prison, and among 2 other, like, college vocation trades. And when I got out of prison, I just picked back up the college while I was trying to work because I didn't want to give up on the dream and the goal that I'd set for myself. It was crazy.
You utilize your time wisely, man.
I didn't the entire time. Let's for the record, my first 3 years, I was definitely straddling the fence. Like, my first 3 years in prison, I was going through it. I was highly gang related and everything, banging my head against the wall, pretty much being a knucklehead. And then I finally just settled down to a point where I was like, yeah, I might not ever make it out of here, man. I might as well just make the best of my time and try to help myself and help others.
Did you find your peers receptive to your transition at first?
Going to school?
Yeah. Like,
going to school?
Active, yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They did not. Matter of fact, not even just my other members of the organization I was a part of, but also just everybody in general. They would be like, Mikey, why the fuck are you going to school, man? You're a fucking felon. Like, and nobody give a shit about that shit. Like, you're never going to get a real job out there anyways. You just got to be a trucker, be welding, or go offshore. And I just listened to what my grandma would always tell me. She would tell me, like, Mikey, do anything and everything as much as you can because you never know when you're going to need it or when you're going to use it. And I'll tell you this, sure fucking enough, what led me to be able to buy a house 14 months out of prison, because I never had any work experience outside of the year that I was out of prison. And to buy a house, you gotta have 2 years of work experience. And I remember telling my mortgage lender, I was like, ma'am, I'm sorry, like, I don't have 2 years of work experience. I've only been out of prison for a year. I've worked this whole time and I've done outstanding, but that's all I got. Like, I grew up in prison. Like, I don't have anything else. I was like, but I did when I was in prison. I went to college and everything. And she's like, hold up, you went to college? I'm like, yes, ma'am. She's like real college? I'm like, yeah, it's a real degree. She's like, you know what? I can help you because all those years that you went to college counts as work experience. I was like,
shit.
And so I was like, fuck all you guys. Like, and I was like, I told you motherfuckers that I'm going to use this shit someday.
Now you got to spread that word. Let them know.
Absolutely. I always do.
Man.
You know, I always talk to people, like, we've had one of our episodes we had was called "Is College Worth It?" You know what I mean? And one of the conversations I find myself having this conversation like every so often, is that people say college degrees mean nothing because when you get out, you rarely ever doing the thing that you got a degree for. And one of the things I say is like, oh, that might be true, but what that does is that shows you that you can stay committed to a particular goal. That's difficult for a certain amount of time. And an employer will look at that. And even if you got a degree in sociology, but you're working in a warehouse, they know that you can show up to class on time. You can study, at least pass. And that says a lot about work ethic and the things that you can do to contribute towards work. So, that surprises me, but it's like, that makes a lot of sense, your story. So,
absolutely. You in college, you even have projects that you have deadlines that you have to complete on time. And going to college teaches you that. And something my math teacher and I tell you what, like, math, it was my worst subject. Now, though. Like, I love math. It's crazy enough. It's ridiculous, actually. But my college algebra teacher taught me, she said, the purpose of math is not to learn these crazy ass equations, it's to learn problem solving skills that you can utilize in every part of your life, to think outside of the box, to figure it out.
How did you attend college? Was it like online?
No, surely not. Like in Texas prisons, it's a little different now, but when I went down, when you go to prison, it's like you went back in time technologically 80 years. like, like, bro, we had box TVs. You only get like 4 channels. You're using a payphone. You got a basic fan when you are allowed to get electronics, like a little AM, FM radio, clock radio at that, by the way. So if you can remember that type of stuff, that's all we got. But how we went to school is, it just depends on other specific units that have college on campus, and you'll go to classes at night and they'll be in the education building. So it just depends on the area that you're in. So for the first part of my college years in prison, I was out there in West Texas in this little ass town that I probably never heard of in my life. And it's in the middle of the desert. The city's called Colorado City. And the unit was called the Wallace Unit. And the closest college that sponsored our unit was Western Texas College. So what they do is they have dedicated classes and dedicated teachers that will come onto the unit Monday through Thursdays and do evening classes. And the classes are limited, so each semester there may be 4 or 5 classes that you can potentially take. And when I was in prison, they had already taken away the Pell Grant for felons. Somebody that was locked up, you couldn't go to college like everybody else in the world. And so we could only take 1 class at a time. Like the prison would they would lend us money to take 1 class a semester. So getting an associate's degree took a very long time.
So you said the prisons would lend you money.
The state of Texas. And it's not lend us money. They didn't give us money. They would front the money to the college, and we would have to pay for it when we got out on parole.
What was the interest rate on that?
It's nothing. I never paid them back. Shout out to look, they never gave me parole. And so I had to do all my time. And so the only way that they can make you pay money, actually like kind of force that, is if you're on parole. And shout out to the state of Texas. They paid for my associate's degree. Big ups, y'all. If there's anything that they did for me, they did that at the cost of my freedom. But I will say this. So right before I got out, and this made me have a completely different type of respect for Obama. He brought back federal Pell Grants for inmates.
Yeah.
And although I didn't get to utilize it, the inmates behind me and all the brothers that are still locked up right now are able to go to college full time in prison because of that. And that gains a tremendous amount of respect for me, because I automatically don't think politicians give a shit anyways. But that kind of made me feel like somebody out there actually does give a fuck. Remember when I went back to just like when I was telling you about like our mentees, the best way to get their respect and their ears and have them drop their guard down is tending to their immediate needs. And so our leader at the time tended to the immediate needs of felons to come out and to be able to better themselves to where they never become a part of recidivism. And I'm grateful for that. Even though I get to use it, I'm grateful that was brought to pass.
Yeah, man.
And you know what's not funny. What's interesting about that is there are people out there that probably would have heard that bill that was passed and that put into order, and they'll look at it and probably think, oh, our tax dollars are going to felons, because they possibly might not know anybody that was a felon before. And they probably would think, oh, that's just a waste of money. It's not going to go anywhere. But hearing this story that you just told about you taking your time and utilizing it to get yourself an associate's, and that put you on a path towards your bachelor's now, which is going to get you into a great career and possibly build your own business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that story is just a great example of how something like that we think has nothing to do with us at all. So you think it doesn't benefit anybody, but we just heard the story of somebody that just benefited from it and put them on a better course in life.
Absolutely. And I'm just one of many, brother. One of many.
Criminal, right? Criminal. It means it carries so much weight, because when you hear criminal, you think of bad person, horrible, never gonna change. But we call people criminals that did like nonsense crimes. And even if like we've all been young, I mean, at least all the people on this podcast have grew up in situations where we've even seen or had the opportunities to like have our life go a completely different way. That label itself is so destructive, and it just implies that there's no way to come back from it. And fortunately for me, like I didn't have that experience where I was pulled in that direction, but I've seen it a lot, you know what I'm saying? So I can empathize with it, because I understand how easy it is for people to end up down that pipeline, that school to prison pipeline. But so many people think that it's not easy, or aren't really exposed to the type of environment that could put them on that slippery slope. So
the other side of the tracks, right?
Yeah. So when they hear those things, we just voted here in Texas, and the way that they phrase certain things, it just makes it seem like, well, that's ridiculous, but it's like, who are these things really benefiting?
Absolutely. I agree, brother. I agree on that.
We got Rebel in here.
Yeah, I've been here.
What up?
How you doing, Rebel? Pleasure to meet you. Yeah, no, I've just been listening. I would also say in that, don't forget about the folks who, because in your setup there, it sounded as if you were talking about the folks that make a decision based on whatever scenario gets brought into their life. But there's a lot of people who they didn't have a choice, or like they got trapped into it or something like that. So
survival.
Yeah. Or even like, for instance, my dad, he told me he worked for a company, and at the company, they promoted him to a position where he had to like sign things on behalf of the company. Come to find out, the company was doing dirt. And so since he was at a level enough to be signing off on things, they made him the scapegoat. So when the company went down, he was the fall guy. And so that's how he wound up serving time.
Was this Enron? That believe it or not, like I hate to hear that, and I'm sorry that your father had to go through that, but unfortunately, they're not all criminals ever have to wear a jumpsuit. There's criminals out there that do dirt all the time, that never go to prison,
never get caught.
Yeah.
Some of them can be president. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, and there's a lot of people that go to prison that are not guilty.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of people that like the term "let's talk deal." Like plea deal is the ability to put somebody in jail in the most like inhumane place, the most uncomfortable place, especially if you've never been locked up. Just think about it this way. If you got pulled over and they thought that you were a suspect for a specific crime and you didn't have any money to make bail, so they lock you up because they think that you're a suspect. You don't have any money to get the bail. You don't have family that could potentially get you bailed out to where you could fight this case. And then you're given a public defender. Okay, I want you to think about this scenario. You're completely not guilty, and then they throw you in jail. You've never done a day in time in your life. You're not built like that. And when I mean like you're not built like that, like you're not somebody that would be your typical person that goes to jail, like where you're aggressive or you have the survival mode of being locked up and being violent and all that stuff. And you're put into this environment and you become so uncomfortable. Like it'll be so like just out of your norm, and and deep down, like it's scary to be locked up. Right? It's scary to lose your freedom. And so they're going to constantly bring you to court every month. and you're still sitting in jail under all these conditions, living in this hostile environment, and you have a public defender that his primary objective is to get you to sign. Like, they just want you to sign. Like it doesn't matter what it is, they just want you to sign. And so what ends up happening is you are psychologically tortured to the point where you just say, I'm guilty, so that way I get out of jail today. They'll be like, hey, look, excuse me, sir, check this out. It's either we reset you for another month down the line, and we'll try to fight it some more, and you're still going to be in jail. Or I just talked to the DA. He says, if you just plead to it, we'll give you 5 years probation. And then if you complete the 5 years, all you have to do is just say you did it. Just sign your life away. And 9 times out of 10, and this is what I deal with on a day-to-day basis, 9 times out of 10, what do you think that individual that's never been in jail, never been in trouble, never done anything is going to do when he's been sitting in jail for a month already? They're going to sign because they want to get out that day. Like, they're not, and absolutely, it's like, and this is a reoccurring theme inside of it's a systemic issue. Like, there's nothing that's broken about our criminal justice system. It's doing exactly what it was built and designed to do, and that's lock people up and convict them, unfortunately. And I see it happen time and time again. I just had a young kid that I mentored to, and I told him, I was like, look, I know you're jammed up, but do not sign for anything. I know you want to get out of here. Just hang on. I know you can't get out at this moment, but just hang on. Do not sign for anything. And you know what he did? He signed just last week. Sealed his fate as an adult
With that
with a
said,
criminal record.
I know when you did your long stint, it wasn't your first time, right?
Yeah, I've been in trouble since I was 12.
So when you went in for the big one, did you go in with this knowledge that you had, or
Absolutely.
this is something
Absolutely.
Okay, so you already knew this stuff before you went in?
Absolutely. Yeah, I learned that. I got I was ignorant at 12. After that, it was dead. I admitted to something at 12 years old, even though I did it, but I admitted to it, and it got me jammed up. Like, it got me sent to prison. My mom and nobody was there when I admitted to this and wrote a statement on myself, and they didn't even have any evidence. But after that, I learned. I said, I don't fucking talk to police.
I was thinking about this, right? And I was thinking, all right, like, what did you have a public defender for that one, for the latest one?
Yes.
Or did you get it was a public defender?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't,
See-
like, my family doesn't have money or anything like that. Like, so I'm
Right.
I'm not getting out of jail. Like, I'm going to sit there.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that, how I forget what this kid's name is, but I think it was during COVID, during the BLM protests, and he ended up shooting somebody, and then he got off immediately. And I was thinking to myself, man, like, if you got a lot of money and get good lawyers, you can get out of stuff. And I was wondering, and also it was brought up that, like, maybe you had a public defender that couldn't get you out of it at that time.
Yeah. And I'll tell you like this. So I don't know if paying attention, like, to the news and everything and all the reforms that were going on during COVID, but one of the big things that happened during COVID was called the bond reform. And so the bond reform, they didn't want to have all these people locked up during COVID. So they would give PR bonds, which is personal recognizant bonds. And that just basically means, like, you don't have the ability to make bond, so we're giving it to you to allow you to fight your case, which is great. It's a great thing in theory. However,
In practice,
in practice, it definitely boosted the crime rate inside of Houston. And I'm sure y'all might have noticed, but they were giving PR bonds to people that were suspects for murders, capital murders, big time aggravated robberies, where these individuals were literally caught in the act. But just because of the simple fact that you are only innocent, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and it's during the COVID time, they would give these individuals bond with an ankle monitor. And so what do you think that these individuals for capital murders that shot and killed a cop, or shot and killed somebody dead in their face.
Oh, so for nonviolent offenders, for everybody.
Oh, it was for everybody. Absolutely. Everybody. Everybody was getting out of jail quick. If somebody had rolled on them, snitched on them for whatever reason, as soon as they get out, what do you think happens? They end up committing. Yeah, they end up committing more murders, and they go on the run.
Very non-Texas thing to do. That's surprising.
It's a non-Texas thing to do, but it was a Houston thing to do.
Okay, there you
And
go.
so we are literally coming out of that bond reform because they adjusted that. They said, "Oh, absolutely not. Like, we need these especially these highly violent crimes. They need to like, there has to be some type of parameter behind this. Like, you can't just let these guys out, even though they don't have money. Like, even if they did have money, they wouldn't be able to typically make these bonds. Like, a typical bond for a murder charge is well over $500,000. Like, not even some of the most richest people in our city could make bond on that.
That's crazy, man. And that's why I said there's the distinction between the nonviolent and the violent offenders.
More so, like you said, it's been covered a whole bunch of times and everything. More so, I'm interested in like being on the other side of the system and like now having been through it and like seeing it. Do you find yourself having to still avoid traps or policies that might lead to recidivism? Like, oh snap, I didn't fully stop at that stop sign. Damn, or is there anything that, because you did your whole bid, so in theory you're good. Like you ain't got to look over your shoulder for the system coming after you. But do you still feel like it is?
I definitely still feel like that all the time.
Man.
But one thing is I do know. One thing I say is I know right from wrong. And how I carry myself. I think I even made a video about it the other day. Like, when you have a criminal lifestyle and you have a criminal mentality that has just been ingrained in you since you were a kid, it takes a conscious effort to not like fall victim to that. And I'm not even say fall victim, like, because I don't even like to say that word. But if I don't succumb to that, right, it's hard to not live criminal lifestyle if that's all you've ever done. And I'm going to even speak about the smallest things in the world, like, because I don't feel like, for instance, if I think about Walmart, like, they already make a shit ton of money and they have insurance policies for, like, if some shit gets stolen, they're going to get the money back for it anyways. So my mentality is like, if I don't feel like I should spend my hard-earned money to buy this Snickers bar or to buy this battery that costs $300, like, when I know that I could just walk out of this establishment with it right now and nobody's going to say shit to me. You know, I dare you. I know that they can't touch me. I know that they can't do that. Like, nobody's really being harmed by this. Yeah, you ain't going to miss it either. Like, don't be, like, even if a worker would say, like, hey, they try to be Captain Save-A-Ho or whatever, like, I know that, like, it's nothing to me to do that.
Given into that side of it.
Yeah, and so from the smallest thing, right? Because integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. And I'm not going to steal a Snickers bar. I'm not going to steal nothing. And that in itself is a task. But I've learned to just, like, it's better to do the right thing. I got to have some type of moral compass. And so that's with everything in life, whether it's speeding or I do it to this day. There's certain things I'm willing to take it there, and I will ride that HOV lane like it's nobody's business.
I hope I'm just the line though when you're in that HOV lane. You're doing at least 90 in that lane, man.
I'm certain.
You talk about the moral compass, and that's something that I think that is developed over time, but some people develop it later. Can you talk about, like, your upbringing and, like, how you go? I think everybody starts off as a blank slate. You know what I mean? How do you think you got on the path that you got onto that enabled you to go through what you went through to your little path of redemption? Because everybody starts off with this blank slate. So what were the factors or the things that caused you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't mind sharing that at all. So these are all learned behaviors, of course. I started stealing because I watched my mother. Both of my parents went to prison, mind you. So I was really raised by my grandparents. And I would watch my mom steal groceries when we needed it. And I've watched her go to jail countless times as a kid. My family members had to come get me from the police station or the store because my mom was going to jail. And so it started there. And my mom did the best that she could. She was a kid having kids, and she was just trying to provide. And so that's where I learned that behavior very early on. If I wanted something and I didn't have the money for it, and I wanted to be like all the other kids that had cool shit, I was going to take it. And of course, that's bad. And when I got into junior high and I saw kids have cool stuff, like, and I wasn't going to be like a thief, I was going to take it. To me, like, there's a huge difference between being a thief and, like, I guess say robbing somebody, just taking something. Like, there's a whole different, and it's crazy, but in prison, there's two, like, thieving is frowned upon, like, it'll get you killed. But if you take something, if you're strong on somebody, that's completely different. There's levels to this shit. It's weird. But yeah, when I was a kid, that, like, I said, you know what? I'll either take it or I'm going to sell drugs. I sold drugs, and that's how I got jammed up for the first time. Because I just wanted to, I just wanted to have cool shit. And I wanted to be able to help my mom. I remember even a time my mom, and she didn't borrow $40 from me, but she said, can I borrow $40? Because she found my money. She's like, can I borrow $40? And I gave it to her. And it felt good just to be able to help my mom. So it's fucking crazy.
That's crazy. Man.
The more I even think back on shit like that, like, it's like I wasn't even able to be a kid because I just wanted to be like other kids.
Weird. So you got scooped up into that. Did you eventually get out? And then, like, what was that experience like?
Absolutely not. I got worse. Like, after I got locked up for the first time, I got worse and worse. Like, when I got out of TYC, I became a gang member, and I wanted to live up to the standard that I felt like everybody thought I had to be. I swear to God, when I finally made it back to regular school, kids and teachers looked at me as if I was a murderer. And I wouldn't say that. I would say, like, I just never really just got accepted as a normal kid. Even my first serious girlfriend, her parents learned that I went to prison, and they were like, "Oh no, like he's the spawn of Satan."
What was that draw into the gang life for you?
So that happened before I went to TYC. In the apartment complex I grew up in, and mind you, I'm not Hispanic at all. But there's a part of our apartment complex that we used to call Little Mexico, and there's a group of older kids, and of course their older brothers and everything. They were like norteños, so they rocked red, and they would constantly have problems with me because all the chicks that I dated were Hispanic, and then I'm not Hispanic, I'm not Mexican, and they would. I know this is.
What's your?
I don't feel alone. Believe it or not, I'm a quarter Filipino and Irish. Okay. I'm a mutt. Okay. I'm considered white. I'm considered Caucasian. Yeah. Now I do have, like, Filipinos are Spaniard blood, of course. So there is that. But yeah, I would constantly have problems with them. And then there was this one time that they jumped me in my apartment complex. That's how apartment complexes go. About 100 kids all go to school with one another. And I was like, at the time, I really did not like when people called me Mexican when I wasn't. Like, I used to be super heated about it. And I ended up getting jumped by these kids. And I said, whoever their enemy is, that's what I want to be. And guess what their enemy was? Their enemies were Crips. And so that's how I got into that. So I grew up being a Crip. And my personality is like, I'm 100% into whatever I do or what I'm a part of or anything that I represent. Like, I go into it 100%. So that's how that started.
That quality being able to go full into whatever you do is not common. Well, a lot of people can't do that. I have struggles doing that. Like when I decide to do something, then yeah, maybe, but like just to turn it off and on is not common. It's just a trip to me how like there's so many people that have that ability to do that, but never get a chance to like exercise that in like a productive way, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, because there's a bunch of ins and Edgars that I work with, man, that they'll die behind that shit. And just truly not knowing, or like they have undying loyalty. And I used to be that way. That's why I can understand. They have undying loyalty to their set. And primarily in Houston, it's not much of a gang culture anymore. It's more on cliques. And you got your scooters, your pushers, all these different cliques. And cliques can consist of people from all different types of gangs. And they all just rally behind whether one of their homeboys died or just any various thing. So you can have a whole bunch of Crips and Bloods that are part of this specific clique, and they'll die behind their homeboys in their clique before they die behind their gang.
So you say you got out of a TYC, got right back into the gang culture, and then how did it go from there?
I was in and out. I felt more comfortable being in juvenile detention, or getting locked up, not being in school. And deep down, there was a part of me that did want to try to do something right. And I would try, but then the best way I could describe it is, I don't know if y'all have ever heard the song by Bone Thugs and Harmony and Akon called I Tried.
Yeah.
That's literally how I felt growing up. Like, no matter how much like I truly had a desire to want to do, it just kept like my old lifestyle and my own reputation that I had built for myself would constantly pull me back. Like I preferred to be held to a standard that I'm comfortable with than to be held to a standard higher and me have to constantly live up to it. Like everybody expected me to be a thug. Everybody expected me to continue to be a jack boy, sell drugs, all that. That's what was expected of me. And I was cool with that. It's easy to live up to that standard. But when I do something right, or I do something right for a little bit, and then the weight of the responsibility internally within me to uphold to that standard was too out of my comfort zone. And so I have this innate ability to self-destruct. And so when shit starts going right, like I'm like, man, this is too uncomfortable. I feel like I'm going to have to do too much to live to the standard. So fuck this. And I'm going to just blow my entire world up and be back to square one. And I preferred that for the longest time. I preferred that.
So it changed.
Yeah. What changed, or it changed?
No, it clearly changed. Like what changed? Because like you said, it's easy to stay where you are, but difficult and has too much pressure to change. But you did change.
It was definitely not. It wasn't an overnight thing, and it was repeated. It was repeated pain of one thing while I was locked up. The hardest thing for me being locked up was knowing that my two oldest children were calling someone else dad. And I just that never sat right with me. And I said, like, one day I want to get out of here and I want to be there for my kids. And I want them to know that I'm their dad, and I want to be their superhero. And it was just the constant pain of constantly knowing that they're growing up with somebody else and I'm missing out those years. And that nobody would come visit me. I was in prison because of how much of a monster I was to everybody around me. That shit weighs down on you. And to know, like, that there's people in the world, even to this day, that prayed that I never got out of prison, that prayed that I would die, like, that shit weighed heavy on my heart. And on top of everything, like, I accidentally killed one of my best friends, and something I have to live with every day. And I want to honor his life by how I live out the rest of mine, because he doesn't get to be here to have a family. He doesn't get to be here to go to school, to make a difference in the world or anything like that. So I'm charged with the responsibility of being twice the man, twice the father, twice the husband, twice the son, twice everything, because my homeboy doesn't get to be here.
Oh.
That's what stops me every time, because like this, I don't live for me anymore. And I got a lot of people that look to me for the example. And that's why I won't resort back to a life of crime, because I never want to be the reason somebody goes to prison, or the reason somebody goes back to drugs, or the reason somebody goes back to drinking. I don't want them to go, oh, fucking Mike, he did it. Look, he went back to it. That means I can do it, right? I want to be the reason. I want to be the example that they don't do it. I want to be the example for my kids. Like, I take my sobriety like very seriously. I've been sober from drugs and alcohol for 15 years. And I want to be the example for my kids. Like, although people smoke, they do all this other shit in the world, they go party, they live this specific lifestyle, they can know for a fact that their father does not partake in that shit, and that it can be done, and that it is possible. I take that shit like very seriously. And that's with everything, whether it's following my dreams, whether anything in life. Like, I want to be the example. I don't want to be somebody's scapegoat.
That's what's up, man. On a side note, that 300% markup on alcohol, though, that'll keep you awake too. Because, God, man, how much? That's a deterrent in and of itself.
Makes it even easier. But
So, man, no, that's, you know what, though? At the same time, I know just personally, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And it's funny because you mentioned something like you had a feeling of when the pressure got too much, you used to self-destruct. And it's funny because in the past, when I felt like pressure to walk the straight and narrow path and whatnot, anytime it seemed like a lot, my was more of a, you know what, I'm not gonna be the hero for everybody anyway. You know what, let me just do what I'm gonna do and like chill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, instead of
Take a back
actively
seat.
doing something, I did nothing, and that took a lot of the pressure off of me. I would, quote unquote, as I say, default and hit the reset button and just default. And so it's like,
Hit autopilot.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, look, I can't change a lot of stuff. Here's the thing that I can do, and these are the things I need to do to keep everything moving. So let me just focus on those, and then we'll handle the rest when we get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
definitely get it.
as someone who, as you said, like, have an ability to go all in on something, do you feel like now that you are trying to be the person that can tell folks, hey, I've been there, you don't want to do that, do you find yourself using that as your, I guess, divining rod, or like, if I'm going to go all in on something, let me go all in on letting these other folks know, hey, you don't need to make that decision? Because a lot of, like, to your earlier point, a lot of it comes down to decisions.
Absolutely.
Sometimes
I'll exhaust. Yeah. Like I told you, in anything that I do, I'm 100%. And so when it's about saving lives and mentoring, I'm going to exhaust everything that I got into helping somebody. And I'm going to exhaust every last avenue or scenario before ever having to commit a crime. In any scenario in my life, like I'm going to do everything I can to not have to resort to an old thinking pattern, anything like that. So yeah, I definitely go 100% into it for sure. And some people would say that my beliefs are very extreme, but I'll also tell you this. So there are laws that I don't agree with, and so I might not follow them, because to me it's not in my moral compass, it's not illegal. So there's laws that I find that are incorrect, and on the same token, there's things that I think that should be laws that are not. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, spirit
Like,
of the law versus letter of the law, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like no law, like just because something's illegal doesn't mean that it's not right
Yeah.
in my eyes. And so I'm always gonna abide my moral compass first. It may not always be, like I said, it may not always be the law, but if it doesn't make sense to me, you're not gonna get me to do it.
It seems more fine tuned to everybody else than what it may have been in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Like for instance, like for paying a toll, when y'all created the Hardy Toll Road back in the 80s and said, hey, we're only going to charge y'all for 10 years until we pay off this road, and then it's going to be free. I'm going to uphold you to what you said that was.
He said it.
You said it, and so I'm not paying it. And I'm gonna ride that boy every day.
So,
Like I said, it's illegal. They expect you. It's illegal to do it, but I do not care because in my moral compass, like I don't feel like I should have to pay to drive. Like I already had to pay to do everything else. Like,
Mike, we needed you here last week for this show.
Oh, you should have. You should see me when I've literally argued with cops and when they were off duty, on duty. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of my videos when I go speak in like commissioner's court and everything. But I damn near got in a physical altercation with off-duty cops because I'm going to express how I feel regardless of anything. And they were just too busy trying to get raises, even though they make over $160,000 a year.
Yeah,
anyways,
you should listen to our previous episode. That's what you should.
What, the one about ghosts?
Oh no, that's the one that's coming out this week. I'm talking about the "Do we even have to work" episode. Like if everyone's making enough to do everything, what will we doing out here working? I'm not gonna revisit that yet. You can check that out later. But my question is, okay, boom, you do your bid. You in there?
I'm not gonna revisit it, but
you do your bid and you get out, right? How do you go from being labeled ex-felon to starting these programs and rollerblading? Like, what's the transition like?
What?
He said it. He didn't feel like he should have to pay to drive. So he's like, you know what? I'm a skate.
Yeah, exactly. That is correct, bro. That is correct. No, but on a serious note, what made the transition, how I went from being labeled an ex-con is, one, I didn't care about the label. Like, I was labeled as a child. The person that sent me to TYC when I was a kid was the same judge that sentenced my mom to prison.
Oh.
So this was expected. It's expected of me to go to prison. They marked this big X on my back and that I would always be a felon and then I would never amount to shit. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to show you that I'm going to be successful with this X on my back. And I'm going to intentionally wear it like a fucking scarlet letter or some shit. So that's why I named my business X-Cons Fitness. And my label on all of my shirts and merch and everything is this big X on my back. Like, and if you ever meet me, you'll know within 5 minutes that I'm a felon and I don't care. So I'm not a criminal. I'm not a criminal anymore. But yeah, I have a background. So what?
When I met you, I didn't feel that kind of energy. When I met you, I felt really good energy when I met you, man.
So I mean, that's usually
I felt good when I met you, man. I felt really good energy. You were really welcoming. And I was like, man, this is somebody that really turned their life around. And I instantly liked you. And you probably wouldn't know it because when I meet people, I have like, my girlfriend calls me John. My public persona is John. But behind closed doors, I'm Electrik. Because outside, she says I'm always really serious. So does Scrota. He said I was serious at the gym. When I met you, I was like, yeah, this is somebody that turned their life around when they're living for the better part of them now. And I'm just really happy that you're someone that knew how to turn their life around. You had it really hard growing up, but now you're at a point in your life that you're probably getting the things that you want and need. And there's no more need to actually go out and do criminal activities, even though you still feel like it sometimes. And I totally understand that. But you've grown and evolved so much that you have that voice that says, nah, we can't do that. And that's what your moral compass is. Hearing your story, it resonates with me so much. I just want to let you know I'm really proud of you, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
It means a lot. For real.
But when I met you, man, I loved your energy off rip. I was just like, yo, this is a good dude, man. So
Electrik brings up a good point. What would you say you do now with that? I don't want to call it like envious. I guess we can call it envious feeling of like you see something that you want, but you can't have it yet. Like now that quote unquote reformed, yeah, whatever the system wants to call it. But and especially and I'm gonna follow that question into like, what are some things you wish the young folks knew?
One of the first things, and I utilize what I learned in prison. So, because you want your freedom, but that's dead. Like for a certain time, like yeah, I want to be free, and even though we know that that is impossible, so you find other ways to be free, whether it's mentally or spiritually. And for the things that you can't get, you have to create an action plan, and you got to have a vision board. And I made a vision board while I was in prison about like I cut my face off of like a picture, and I would glue it on like a GQ magazine model, like a dude in a suit, a dude working out. I'd paste it on there. I'd cut out like a house that looked really nice. I put it on there. I put my pictures of my kids that I had on there. All these things that I really wanted from my life. And I made a vision board, and I would look at it constantly and just know that, okay, what are the steps that I can do while I'm in here that can work towards that goal to make it a reality? What can I do here right now to work towards that? Because there's something that I can do. I just need to figure out what it is, and going to school, helping people, working out, all those things. Those were the things that I could control and I could work towards getting the goals of having a family and being a family man, being a business owner, but like all that stuff. And so it translated easily when I got out of prison, because I said, okay, there's things that I want. I need to figure out what I got to do the right way to get it. Whether it was getting a house, whether it was getting in a car, starting a business, all these things. Like there were steps to this, there's levels to this. And I just had to be intentional behind everything that I did. There's no such thing as luck. Luck is just putting yourself in the greatest position to be successful, no matter what it is.
I like that.
Yep.
And so I constantly take advantage of any and every opportunity. And even speaking on this podcast, there's nothing that I'm genuinely getting out of it, but it's an opportunity that I don't know what a door it could open. Anybody could listen to this podcast, for instance, and all it takes is one person to hear it and be like, oh man, let me reach out to this dude. I've got an opportunity for him. Whatever it is. Like if you don't seize the moment, like you never know what can come about it. I went viral on TikTok and got over 150,000 followers, but in this avenue, many opportunities have arisen that have leveled up my life. Being on a Netflix show, on a cooking show, like doing all this stuff because of taking an opportunity and not being afraid to talk about my past or anything. And so on the same token, I forgot which one of the sharks from, what was that show? Where they go in front of the business sharks? Yeah, Shark Tank, yeah. I forgot. The Italian gentleman said it best. He said, you only got to be right once. And so I'm just looking for being right one time. That's all I'm doing. I tell my kids this all the time. Like, y'all just remember that you only got to be right once. When you figure that out, when you're right that one time, that's all it's going to take. It's just repeat after that. So I'm just looking for being right one time. Being in the right opportunity one time. Being in that right moment one time. Making that right decision that one time. So I strive for that. I look for it every day, no matter what it is. I know that I don't know what will come about, any situation, but I strive to just be right once. I just got to be right once, y'all.
What's your goal? If you got your magic wand, you know that you're going to be like, you got to stop doing this tomorrow. You got to stop. Just tomorrow, you got to stop doing this. And we can make whatever you want to happen. What do you think a good goal to have it? Like, what are you trying to, what's the end game?
Yeah.
My end game
happens after that one time.
What ends to happen at that one time is, I'm going to just be completely honest, dude, is just to have freedom, because I don't have it yet. Complete freedom to do what I want. That's what I want. I want the freedom to get any of my family or my kids what they want. The freedom to be able to make decisions not based off being told or having that responsibility to. I want that freedom. That's what I want. I strive for it each and every fucking day. I just want to have freedom to do the things that I want, not because I'm responsible to or I'm held to. I would love to be able to mentor all day for free, not because I had to, but because I wanted to, strictly on that. I want to be able to skate and to spend time with my family, the freedom to do that as much as possible, to be at every one of my kids' events, to be at every last thing, to be there, to be present with my family and to do what I want without the weight of the responsibility to have to do it. Is what I want. I don't know if I explained that.
No, that's speaking loud and clear to me, bro.
Time is priceless. I don't give a shit about money. But time is all I got left. It's the most priceless asset that we have, because once we dedicate our time to something, you can never get it back. I spend over a third of my life being away from my kids. So whatever I can do to add more time to that each and every day, I'm all fucking for it. And I'll do whatever it takes. Like when my bosses ask me, like, hey man, like, what would help you? Shit, give me more PTO days. Let me be with my kids more. And I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, poignant that.
Go Rebel.
I was gonna say is the juxtaposition is so poignant that, and then when they lock you up, that's what they take away, time. Like, that's the punishment, taking away your time.
Absolutely. Average age is 64, 65. Like, and I'm 36 now. Like, I've already lost so much time. And your kids are only kindergarten once.
I think there's a lot of people online that just floss and just live a life that people think they want to live, but I spent a lot of time on your page, man, and Electrik's been talking about you for a little bit. So it's cool to see a cat who not only just like projects like an actual genuine personality, but actually like is that as well too, man. It's dope, man. It's been pretty interesting conversation we've had, and I think
yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
I think the thing that just I never got my head around rollerblading. I've done some dangerous stuff and participated in some dangerous activities. Rollerblading seems pretty crazy, man. And I think that's something that you and Electrik got to explain to me one day, because I don't know. And whoever your videographer is, that dude's dope.
My most recent one is my son, and I've taught him. But the best way to explain why I rollerblade or anything like that is I already talked about it. It's freedom. Freedom to do what the fuck I want. And I will freely skate wherever. And there's nothing, like, I can never explain. I think I did a recent video where it was like slow-mo. Like the entire video of me skating around a skate park, it was slow-mo. And that's probably the best. It's flowing. It's just being free.
What is that, 120 frames it was going at?
That's 4K 120, dude. Yeah. Slow-mo.
That was so smooth. Bro, when the one you did with the bail, I thought you were going to hit your face on the coping. I was like, fuck. And you saved yourself. I was like, oh, good save.
I'm quick, bro. I'm pretty quick. I may not always get it, but I'm pretty quick, bro.
If we go to that, are you going to Bear Skate Park tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we got some out-of-towners that came down to skate with us, so I've got to be there.
I'm going to make it out. You and I, we got to battle it out on a game of skate.
Whatever you want, brother. I'm just a simple guy, man. I'm not really good at skating, so I'm just a simple guy.
I think you're pretty good, man.
Fool, shit, me
Hold
fool.
up. Y'all have a game of skate where y'all like horse have to do something and you get a letter
Yeah.
if you don't?
Yeah.
Yep. You get 2 shots to get the trick. And if you don't get it on the second shot, that's it. You get a letter. Or no.
I don't know about the
Bunch
2
of
shots.
Sometimes you get a it depends on the difficulty of the trick. Sometimes some people will be like, yeah, you could get a rebate on it. But yeah, if it's a really big trick, they'll throw you a rebate.
Yeah, man, I'll hold you to it, brother. Again, I'm not very good at skating, bro, so you probably got me, dude.
And then also, like for your workouts, I want to see if we could get a session in together, and you put me through something that everyone hates, and see if I can make it through.
Absolutely, bro. Hey, you know what?
I can't
One of my
You know what I'm
favorites.
saying?
It's called Mount Sinai, right?
Yeah.
That's the name of the workout, and it was funny because I called it that because somebody asked me like, "Why did you call it that?" I was like, "That's because you're gonna find God in the middle of this workout. You're gonna find God." So, yeah, we can do that, and it kills me too. So I like to be aired out, though. I don't know what it is, but it's fun. But guys, my wife is hollering at me.
All right. Before you leave, right before you got to go, is there any plugs, any Instagrams, TikToks, websites you want to plug out? This is your time to say whatever you need to say so we could find you where your ass is at.
Yeah, man. Real simple, bro. The TikTok X_cons_fitness. And also on Instagram, you can find me XConsFitness or look up the Michael Galloway. And just big shout out to God, man. Shout out to my God, Jesus Christ. This is who I do it for. So
That's all, man. Glad you had a chance to stop out, man. This is dope. This is dope.
for sure, man. Hey, y'all keep being real and keep being authentic. I love that. And yeah, nothing about my sport. And if y'all ever run into me in real life, dude, say what's up, man. Don't be a stranger.
Most def. Thank you for coming through, man.
All right, guys. I'll take care.
All right. This has been the HLS Podcast, podcast that never was, Radical Teddy and Friends, Her Latest Seduction, Hippies, Love and Showers, Happens Like Sundowns, Name Pending. I'm the Rebel Alliance.
I'm Scrota.
And this is Electric Thunder.
And that was our special guest, Michael Galloway.
Hey.
If y'all like what y'all heard today, please help us out by sharing, liking, commenting, get the word out, send this to your friends. We appreciate your support. Thank y'all for listening. Y'all have a great week. I couldn't think of anything else.
Your intonation hung like there was something else coming right there.
Hanging off a bit too, man.